Seeing this, we have a quorum. I'd like to get this meeting started. Probably not the right thing to say, but that's okay. Awesome. So, go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for joining us today for this special meeting. I'm going to be providing a brief presentation on a public art master plan that I'd like to propose for the city of Escondido. As you know, public art is really emerging in Escondido right now. I think there's always been a focus on public art. We have many galleries, studios, we have the California Center for the Arts, but it just feels, there's something different going on right now. There's a much more lively art scene going on right now. And I feel like the K-Rail mural project down on Grand Avenue, where we closed off the one lane and we have those concrete barriers and the restaurants were able to go out onto the streets and serve. And we have all those beautiful small public murals on those. I really feel like that was a catalyst that has really enlivened Escondido's art scene and really has brought us to a new place where we have amazing new opportunities. Something bigger and better in Escondido, as I like to think. Bringing all those artists together on that project, I think really inspired people to want to do more. I've heard a lot about Escondido being a destination for art, for murals, for cultural activities, etc. And believe me, all of the requests are starting to roll in. We're getting requests for murals. Mostly murals at this point, but there's lots of conversations about other things going on. You see, we have the Lighting the Way project coming, we have the Alley Art project coming, we have the Youth Art at Washington Park. These are all new things that we didn't have before. And so, again, I really think that we are in a new time in Escondido, and this is a great opportunity to look at something like master planning for our art program. I'll be presenting a mural to you at our next Public Art Commission meeting, and then we have another one kind of in the wings. We're just waiting on gathering some more information on that because, we're just looking to gather more information on that. She's not exactly sure time, place, and all of that just yet. But I think it's really important with all this new art coming in that we have processes in place. This is, again, like I said, the most activity we've seen in a long time. So we scheduled this meeting today to introduce the idea of a public art master plan to you and provide sufficient time for you to be able to review the RFP, the draft RFP for a consultant that I provided in the agenda packet, and do some research on your own if you wanted to. There's a number of public art master plans out there from different cities. I'll show you a list a little bit later on in the presentation if you want to go look at some of theirs. There's others out there that are not on that list that I just didn't get responses from, but feel free to take a look at them. Please look at the RFP. We'll be asking you to come back in 2 weeks for the regularly scheduled Public Art Commission meeting and provide feedback on the RFP, and we'll also be asking you for support to issue that out to the public and support for public art fees to be able to pay for the consultant to develop this plan. So we expect that RFP process to run about 2 to 3 months, and I'm hoping to have a presentation prepared for our city council and update on public art and the master planning process. I was hoping for November, but when I worked out the timeline for the master plan, it looks like it may be more like December timeframe. So again, that's why it's really important. I really wanted to get this meeting set so that we can get that process started, and on October 11th, after a regularly scheduled Public Art Commission meeting, we can get that RFP out for proposals. Sorry if that was very long. Okay, so what is a master plan? So a master plan is a tool that we'll use to define a combination of all of these things. Some master plans tend to lean more on the visioning and priority Some master plans lean more on the policies, procedures, and processes side. So I think that we need to be somewhere in the middle. We've already started some of that work here with commission. We have Commissioner Velasco has presented a vision or a version of a vision that she'd like us, to start working with. We've had a couple of meetings where we've discussed that. But we need to take it further, and we really need to work out the details of that. But again, I think a plan that I'm envisioning would have both of those aspects in it. It would have a visioning of priorities, and it would also be heavy in the policies and processes. Because I really feel like in order for us to have a successful program, we need clear processes for our artists to go through. The master plan will articulate the goals of the city. It will identify strategies and processes around solicitation, acceptance, placement, maintenance of public art. Right now we don't have a maintenance program. We kind of deal with things on an as-needed basis. But having a professional come in that does this for a living, they'll be able to recommend processes and funding options on how other cities have done this and how we can have a plan to maintain our art moving into the future. As far as goals, they can be short-term, long-term. You'll see that in the plan right now, how it's written, we ask for all of that. We ask for short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. That may be something that you want, it may not. We can adjust that. And again, that's kind of the reason for this meeting. I want to give you guys enough time to review that RFP and be able to amend it or recommend amendments as you see fit. It will establish standards of quality, and then it will also set location and potential budget. So as you're reviewing the master plan, just keep all those things in mind and make sure that the language that's in there is reflective of what we are trying to accomplish here. So why is the master plan important? In recent months, private installations and requests for public art have been emerging at an exponential rate. In order to have a successful public art program, I think that it's imperative that we have a plan in place to guide the city, to articulate our goals, identify resources and processes, and in the creation, acceptance, and placement of public art in Escondido. Having a plan in place will allow us to solicit and accept public art in a much more efficient and effective way. It will provide an opportunity for us to evaluate the processes that we have in place. There aren't many of them, so hopefully we can it will identify areas where we need improvement and where we are already doing what we need to do. But yeah, the processes I think will assist in building a thriving public art program in Escondido. So going into the future, it will create a strong foundation for public art in Escondido. For those of us, those that are here after us, the plan will be in place, so it will be very clear. It will be user-friendly so that artists are not discouraged or hesitate to interact with the city. It will be clear what our mural policy is and what the policy procedures are around that. It will be clear what our gift policy is and what that means. One of the things I would like it to articulate is, a little bit more in depth of what those processes look like. A lot of times public art, if it's not a mural, is going to need a building permit. It's going to need planning review. And having that all down in a plan so that the artists are aware of it, it just makes it more customer friendly, and it makes for a much more efficient process for everyone when everyone is on the same page and understands what needs to be done. It will break down silos. So I think we're doing a pretty good job of that right now. We've been working much better with the planning department, with the appearance committee, but just having it all in writing in a plan will put everyone on the same page so that everyone knows what that process is. If there's a plan or a piece of public art comes in, or a request for a piece of public art comes into the planning department, they will go to this plan. It will explain, okay, first, please refer that to the Public Art Commission, or the public art liaison, whoever that is at the time, probably me. Breaking down those silos and getting all of the city departments talking to each other, I think is going to be really one of the great benefits of this plan. And then having intentional public art. It will create beautiful places in the city that people will gather, and it will seem consistent, and it will have potentially a theme if that's what we want to write into the plan, or maybe themes in certain neighborhoods, things like that, that it will streamline our processes and really be an inspiring document for the artists and for the general public. We have not, in the past, to my knowledge, involved the general public in any of our decisions, right? So part of the master planning process, there's an extensive public outreach process. And so we'll look at the RFP in just a few minutes here, but in that section, we outline a minimum of 3 public meetings, a minimum of 3 surveys, stakeholder meetings, city council meetings, public art commission meetings. So there's a lot to it. And I think it's really exciting we're really interested to hear what the public has to say, because there's probably some really great ideas out there that you and I aren't thinking of. And getting that all together in one place is just a really exciting proposition. And then again, the last thing is just, getting all of us on the same page, the planners, the developers. There's a process around private development and how art is incorporated in there. So we want to, again, just have this plan that has everything public art related in one place to make for a clear and efficient document where everyone understands their role and what needs to be done in that situation. This is a cost breakdown of some of the master plans of local cities around here. It ranges, right? I just want to note a couple of things. Santa Rosa, their plan was done in 2014. So it's quite a while ago. Costs have increased since then. City of Vista, City of Escondido, they do not have plans. I just thought that was interesting to note. I'm going to reach out to a number of other cities, San Diego. There were probably 5 that I removed on here that I didn't hear back from. But I just thought it was interesting to know that they don't have a plan at all. I don't know what their public art scene is like in Escondido, but just thought I would keep that on the list. But so the city of Salinas, that was recently done. $50,000 was what they paid for their plan. One thing to note with that one is that they did not have a public outreach component. So the staff, the Public Art Commission, did all of the public outreach on their own. They hosted and facilitated all of their community meetings, all their stakeholder meetings, all of their pop-ups, which just means that you attend already existing events like street fairs, school events, things like that. So that's why the cost for that one is so low. And then Anaheim, it was at $150,000. They're in the process of doing their master plan right now. They are a huge city, and I think that's reflected in that cost. And then Oceanside was $100,000. So I think we need to be somewhere in the middle. And the RFP that I presented in the agenda packet had $60,000 as the mark. After conversations with some consultants and some other public art folks in other cities, I think really where we need to be is about $75,000. I think as you're looking through the RFP, there's a section on that highlights the cost, and we can add something to that section to the effect of, please provide creative ideas on how to, reduce the budget, or we could put a range, $60,000 to $80,000, or so. That's one of the things I kind of want to hear from you guys, what your comfort level is there. I don't think we want to go the route of silliness where we are doing all of the public outreach. I think that defeats the point. I also think that you need a professional that does those things for a living, that can, gather all that information, analyze all that information, get large groups to consensus. I think it's important to have someone facilitating those meetings, or at least partially facilitating those meetings. So just think about all those things as you are reviewing the RFP and what, again, like what your comfort level is with the level of funding. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the RFP really quickly. Okay, so this was in your agenda packet. I just wanted to scroll through it real quick and just look at a couple of the sections in case you haven't had an opportunity to look at it. So the beginning is just an introduction, very broad, what the city is looking for. And then we move into the project description, which goes into a little bit more detail of what we're looking for in the actual plan. Proposal submission requirements. A lot of this is, it talks about who to provide to, which is me, that we would like 9 copies. The reason for that is because I will be sharing those copies with a number or all of you. I'm not exactly sure yet how that's going to work, to review the proposals. And so I asked for 9 hard copies to be able to provide those to you for review, as well as for our internal staff review, which will likely be myself, someone from the city manager's office, someone from the planning office, or the planning department, etc. Gives the due date for the proposal. I just highlighted that in case that date changes. Explains I'm the point of contact. If they have any questions, they are to contact me in writing only. And then general instructions for the consultant. A lot of this section is boilerplate language. It just really goes over that we can cancel at any time. We have the right to negotiate with the consultants, with the proposal, with the proposers. We can request additional information. We can cancel the RFP. We can, it just basically goes over all of our rights as a city. And then it provides a tentative schedule. So I will be zeroing in on those last few dates a little bit more before I release this to the public, but that's just, I wanted to put a general outline there for you guys to review. Then it goes into the evaluation, the proposal evaluation and award of the contract. And then the contract incorporation, which just explains, it gives them, it lets them know we will attach a copy of the city's standard PSA to the RFP so that they can review that, and if they want to propose any changes, they can do so. They just have to submit that with their written proposal. And then we'll review that, and if we can accommodate those changes, we will, and if not, we will try to work towards another solution. That goes into the proposal format. So it just is very detailed, explaining what we want from them. Cover page, table of contents, executive summary, and then a little bit more into detail about contact information, who we'll be working with, who has, who can legally negotiate this contract, and then who will we be working with as the project manager. Goes into the qualifications and experience of the firm and also of the staff that will be working on the project. So we ask for a resume of all of the consultants' team. We also ask for a list of similar projects that we've done so that we can check those out and call references if we need to. And then it goes into the scope of work and what we're asking of them. So that is, I want you to really focus on that part to make sure that that is in line with what your goals are for this plan. In reading this before the meeting today, I realized that it's very light on the admin side. You know how I was saying earlier that I really think that it's important that we have, that the plan contains the policies and the processes, and that's not here. So I'll be amending that to add that in here. And there's a couple of other minor little changes that I saw that I didn't catch the first time. So again, this is the reason we're having this meeting. We have 2 weeks to review this and change it however we need to. So back to the scope of work, we're going to ask them for a project implementation plan, which will just be a list of tasks that they will be performing throughout the process with a timeline and who on their team will be responsible for that. One of those things is research. We'll be asking them to research the city's existing legislation, our plans, our policies, anything related to public art. So they'll provide us a summary of all of that. And then it gets into the community outreach portion. And we're asking for a plan and a timeline for that as well. Again, that's where there it shows that we're asking for a minimum of 3 public meetings, including one broad-based community, like so just out to the general public, one focused on businesses, and one on art organizations. If there's someone you think I missed, maybe youth, maybe we want to add youth to that, just let me know, and we'll adjust accordingly. And then it gets into the actual master plan and what will be included in there. And actually, that's the section that I thought was light on the administrative sections. So I'll be amending that to make sure that that includes policies and procedures. Talks about the budget. Again, there's the $60,000. I think that we do need to increase that. And then it just goes into, that we expect the budget will cover everything. So no surprises, make sure that everything's in there, and we can move on from there. Identification of subcontractors, that's pretty standard. We just want to know who they're working with. And then any additional information that they think should be included in the plan, they can do at the end. The last piece there is just the insurance. It's just reminding them that they need to be aware of the insurance. They can see the requirements in the Exhibit 1, which is the sample agreement, and make sure that they are okay with those requirements, because it is a condition of the approval of the contract. So please look over that. And let me know what you think. And, oops. There we go. And so our next steps. So I'd like you to look over the RFP, do some research if you would like on other city master plans, and provide your feedback to me by October 6th. That will give me enough time to incorporate your changes and before our October 11th meeting, or incorporate probably a red line that we can discuss before the October 11th meeting, where we will be asking you to actually vote to support the issuance of the RFP and on the use of public art funds for to pay the consultant for this plan. So that concludes the presentation. If you've had an opportunity to review the plan and you have questions now, we can talk about those. If you have any other questions, we are open.
See, I had one question, and it's probably just very, I noticed that it's 1%, the difference for those who build outside the city and the ones that build inside the city. Are we penalizing those who build outside the city, or are we incentivizing the ones who? I just wondered. I mean, that's really just a question.
I would guess that that's an incentive. I'd have to refer to the planning commission or the planning department on that. We have not had a say in what that is in the past. I don't know that we will in the future, but I'm not sure how or why those fees were set the way that they were, but I can certainly find out for you for the next meeting.
It was
But
just-
I would like to think it's an incentive and not a punishment.
That was the only thing I had.
So I think I really think the idea of having a public art master plan is awesome. It's something that's needed. It sounds like it hasn't really been. We have a public art master plan now, right? But it hasn't. I don't know.
No, we do not have a public art master plan.
The only thing I have kind of an issue with is that we're right off the bat expecting to hire a consultant for this. Like, I feel like with all of the resources we have here in the city and all of the folks who are willing to, it sounds like, really uplift the public arts in Escondido, like I feel like we should maybe have an option for a consultant, but also have another realm that we could discuss that would include building from the inside out, so to say. So I feel like I feel a little uneasy having a consultant come in from somewhere else and then having research the city and research all the things that we're about, and we could have someone from the inside already understands the city and what we're trying to incorporate with this. I feel like maybe then a lot of this. And I think if us as the public art commission said, hey, like maybe we do need a consultant, then maybe that's a discussion we can have as a commission. But I feel like to right off the bat throw in, that we need a consultant now. I think it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of yeah, pretty sure. So yeah, I think all the expectations out of this public master plan I think are great. As far as like what we're trying to get out of it. I have a couple things that I'll definitely send you with regards to just little things here and there. But just the biggest issue I have is just I'm a consultant. when we have we have community members who are consultants already.
So the RFP, I mean, it would be a public process where if we do have members of the community, they could always, submit a proposal for it. Maybe that would come in at a more reasonable dollar amount. I'm not sure, but it's definitely something we can think about. My concern is that people oftentimes say that they want to do something or they're committed to something, but then as a volunteer, when it really comes down to it, they may not pull through for us. So that concerns me a little bit, but.
I see that, but yeah, I think I'd be interested to see like how successful Selena's was, for example. I know that's something that you expressed that you probably should go that route, but and I'm not. I don't think if the money, obviously we love to use that money to go to actual public art and not to a consulting company, But if that money, say we do use $75,000 and it's something that we built from the inside out, I think that would be a lot more. More of a community-based idea than not. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how successful Selena's was in implementing their public art master plan, and many other cities that have gone the community route instead of hiring a consultant.
Feel free to, I think you can, as a commissioner, you can feel free to reach out to them and just have that conversation and see how that process went for them.
Danielle, it looks like you've done extensive hard work on this, and I congratulate you. The one area that I would like to see incorporated, and you mentioned it, is the youth program part, where we would allot not a huge amount of money, but enough that the youth could possibly display their work. For instance, I'll give you an example, like Red Ribbon Day. We used to have support and encourage use of art. And the other part is you mentioned that you're going to be making some changes on the RFP, and that will be presented October 11th. That's our meeting. Will we be able to see those changes beforehand?
Yes, they'll come out in the agenda packet. So you'll get those a week in, well, a couple of days in advance.
And are we allowed to give input to you beforehand?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's what I would like you to do, yeah. Any input that you can provide before then, I can review and potentially implement into the RFP document. And then you'll have another chance to review it at the October 11th meeting. And then you may, if there's any additional changes at that point, I'll take those as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments? There's no vote today, so we'll just move on to the October 11th meeting, and then in the meantime, if anything comes up, if you have any questions, just please let me know, and I will do my best to answer them or connect you with who you need to be connected with.
I did have a question. Now, Vista has a pretty extensive mural program. Is that, and they're one of the ones that you have that had no general plan for that, expenses? Do you know how they came about with the murals they have?
I don't, and they don't have anyone overseeing their public art right now. So I can try to reach out and try to get that information, but they're very short-staffed right now. So I don't know what I'll be able to find out for you, but I'm assuming that they've been doing things just like we have, where, proposals come in and they're approved on a case-by-case basis, which, is how it would, work, like, if we had a plan as well. But I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to where their art is, what their art is, etc.
And my last comment is, I think it feels like it's so rigid in regard to what it's like for the person soliciting proposals have to qualify firms or consultants or consultant teams. So it makes it sound like they have had to have done it before. And if we're staking out, if we're asking like community members to come forward to apply to be consultants for this, I feel like that might alienate them a little bit. So I think, yeah.
Soften the language.
I think so. Yeah. That was my other thing. My other note that I had here earlier.
Is there going to be a section that denotes money used to refurbishing art and maybe moving art that's not currently in place? Is there going to be anything in this that incorporates that?
There can be. Absolutely. We can ask for that in the scope of the services, that they identify maybe art that needs to be relocated. Or, like I said, a maintenance plan for our art, which we don't currently have. So that would be part of the scope of work that the consultant would provide us, that we would get in the plan.
I'd like to see that incorporated if we could do that.
So, any other questions? No. I'll go ahead and to ask the motion, right?
As chair, you're able to just adjourn it.
Yes. Well, if anybody else has anything to say, going once.
I just have nothing to say. I think you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and adjourn this meeting.